It says it's live.
All right, it says we're live, so that's a good sign. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Chris Alicia. I'm here with my beautiful co-host for another episode of Muses, a group of spiritual teachers that get together every week to just talk about whatever is on their hearts, on their minds, messages from spirit, to really bring you what you need at this exact moment. Every week is something different. And I refused to tell my co hosts the topic for today because it was something that popped into my consciousness this morning. And I wanted to get their honest feedback with absolutely no time to prep. So,
So thanks for joining us.
I hope you're all ready for this. So, what has been real in my world today, and quite honestly, one of the things that's held me back the most in spirituality is spiritual guilt. I often feel like I am not honoring my gifts enough, that I'm not spending enough time meditating, that anytime the world gets involved and I put spirituality on the back burner, that I'm doing something wrong. I feel a tremendous amount of guilt when I go away for 2 weeks, for a month, because I'm not meditating, because I'm not listening to spirit, because I'm not channeling, because I'm not journaling. And the funny thing is that's crap. That's a crap thing to feel guilty over because that's an illusion. If we were meant to spend 24/7 in spirit, we would have been born to a Tibetan monk and live in a beautiful mountain in a monastery and stay silent 24/7, but we're not. Life is real. And I don't know about you ladies, but that guilt has definitely held me back. It's something that I suffer with every single time I travel, every time I do a contract. That feeling of I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing for spirit. Do any of you guys have the same hold back?
No, never. I'm perfect. I was just gonna say no. Like I have no idea what that's like actually.
Really? Do you just
I can
No, I'm
relate.
being honest.
But see,
I
that's
got
what's
it.
cool about our group is we have such like a wide variety of lives and backgrounds. Yeah, like that we do have the polarity even within the group. Because I can totally relate with what Chris was saying. In fact, it was so spot on because I was just having like a little breakdown of guilt on exactly this yesterday. Because I'm in so many different, modalities, forever the student. I just love to, dive deep and master things. And so you guys know how many different things I have going at a given moment. And I'm a certified Qigong instructor. And I have to say that I have been my life has been so kind of tipsy-turvy with everything that happened, with my son and grieving and whatnot. I realized I really backed off that practice, and I realized I did it because of the fear of being vulnerable. Because when I get into that qigong deep meditative practice, I mean, I'm probably the most open and vulnerable of any of the modalities that I practice and do, and so my heart was just so broken that I couldn't. I would go there, but just briefly, right, and I'd pop back out. Anyways, I met up yesterday with a cohort in my teaching group, and we met up on Zoom. She's in California now, and we were doing a practice, and that's when I realized how rusty I had become, and I was embarrassed. I was all the things that come with that, like you're saying, Chris. And why do we do that? Why do we do that? We're born perfect. We are perfect, and sometimes we spend so much time in our head trying to get to that place that if we just stop and just be, that's when we go inside and we drop in, wherever we're at. So I can so relate. But I would love to hear your perspective, Steph, because you do live such a free, beautiful, spirited life.
Well, I was having these thoughts as you were talking, and especially after having just a minute to absorb what Chris said and not just my knee-jerk reaction is, nope, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. You know, so I'm sure there's probably a couple people at least going, what in the world? How like what, how do you not understand that? I do understand it. I feel like, actually, if I'm really being honest, that guilt that you're talking about, I felt my entire life before finding this part of myself. That resonates with me when I think of it in those terms. That frustration that I felt for most of my life, being on a journey of serving, but not knowing how, not being deeply connected to myself in a way where I could. So that, when you talk about guilt, that's kind of what comes up for me. That guilt of not being in alignment with myself. And I didn't know where to put it. Like, I was carrying that feeling for so long, but didn't know why or what it was from or how to put it into terms that somebody could understand. So that I get, but I disconnect all the time. I also don't have a lifestyle where I'm taken away for periods of time like you are either. So I can't honestly say what I would feel or how I would operate if I was living that life.
How do you work around the kids and their schedules and the interruptions? Are you just really good about?
It's just all one big show. It is. It's just all one big show. And having one kid in public school and one kid at home, and Callie being home and her being older, she's on her mission to do the things that she's doing during the day. And if she needs me, I'm going to know immediately. But for the most part, I've got my time during the day. So it's
How
not.
about you, Kat? You were saying you identify with that as well?
So, I mean, I was making a joke, but I was kind of serious about it too. I think what Steph just said is like telling and valid. I also don't have something that pulls me away. And if I did, that would be a very different circumstance, because there would be a struggle there, I'm sure, in probably a multitude of ways. I this would be more accurate. I experience guilt from like, oh, you're lazy. Why aren't you this? Why aren't you that? You know, or like, you know, when was the last time you wrote? Or, you know, I get distracted easily. I don't know that I feel guilty about it. I feel like one of the things that I consciously work on, sorry, I'm going elsewhere. One of the things I consciously work on is not pronouncing something good or bad ever. And also not pronouncing something, just sort of period, because I find that oftentimes I don't have the clarity until later, especially about things that really matter. And it's interesting that you're bringing this up. This weekend, I was having a conversation with my husband and with Ryan, and all of a sudden something became very clear to me. And it was kind of like the difference between, it wasn't kind of like, it was the difference between being busy or in action and creation. Mm. And I have a lot in the last 7 years made myself wrong for not being in action enough, because my life used to be very more active than it now is. It used to be, there was a lot more going on before than there is now. And one of the things that I realized is when you're creating versus being in action, it takes something different. The timeline may look different. The energy that it requires is certainly different. Especially if you're bringing something into being that doesn't exist yet really on this plane. And so I was looking at that and thinking about the different everything, really. Insert in the blank, every single thing the different everything that takes, the different mindfulness, the different intention, the different energy, the different activities, the different showing up differently, the different patience, the different, I mean, literally everything. And so I feel like when we are creating, and in this realm, we are creating really almost always. It's a very different kind of thing. And like breaks are allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And when, you know, we're human, like we're spiritual beings, right? Being very human here. And our human isn't capable of what everything that we're capable of, you know, necessarily in the same way on the other side. And so I don't know, I kind of like my human, and I'm kind of okay with, I've become very okay with all the stuff, because as I move along this journey, there are moments of sort of brilliant insight, and I'm like, okay, that all makes sense now. That all makes sense now. And then every time that happens, I look at that and I'm like, okay, that was perfect. But I was like, year two this, year two that, year two whatever, while it was going on. But it really was perfect. Every little thing, even the schedule changes or sessions that go very differently than you think they're, you know, they're going to go, or whatever. And I used to have to like look back at that and figure out the, well, here's why and here's the what, and now it's just well, immediately they tell me also, like, but I don't know, it's just, it becomes more clearly apparent. And we all spend a good amount of honestly a good amount of time doing this stuff, so like why not be able to diversify if there's something there that is rewarding in whatever way it's rewarding. You know, if you love it, do it. If it's feeding you, do it. And if it's not, drop it.
So I love multiple things. It shows the different routes to the finish line, right? Every single journey is coming at it from a different direction. We're all going in the same way, but we're coming at it through such different obstacles. And I think you've all said it in just slightly different ways, is the bottom line is you're a spiritual being. You don't have to do anything to be a spiritual being. That is who you are. That is your birthright. And having to take time to live in the real world, especially if you have an existence that is traumatic, fast moving, very grounded in the three-dimensional, that doesn't make you any less of a spiritual being. It doesn't mean that your journey is wrong. It means you're coming at it from a different direction, but you are innately spiritual. So that guilt is an illusion. That feeling of not accomplishing anything is an illusion, because you're not trying to actually accomplish anything. All you're doing is remembering. The whole way through, you're just remembering till you get to a place where you're connected like Steph is all the time, and everything is just a part of it. I think that's absolutely beautiful and a serious truth, right? And that's, I know Katie's gone through a ton lately, and other people who are going through really life-changing moments, especially now. It feels hard sometimes to remember that you're a spiritual being. It kind of gets pushed to the back. Even if it's always there with you, it's easy to get swept up into the day-to-day. 2020 has been crazy.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so I just have to say something, because I don't want to make it sound like I live in la la land connection 100% of the time. You know what I mean? There are some, like what you just said about being really grounded in 3D life. I've got that right now.
Absolutely.
I've got some crazy 3D stuff going on that pulls me back to, okay, this human thing that we're doing, right? But truly, I feel like the work itself is what makes all of that so maneuverable, because it's you maneuvering your spiritual being through whatever this situation or unfolding in your life is in a completely different way, where you're not feeling all of those things that are all around you. You are just navigating through them. If you can come at it from that angle.
Yeah. And like Kat said, it's about reframing, not just verbally, but it's almost like taking a step back. We call it in the military, we call it the 10,000 foot image. If you're in the dirt and you're trudging through the mud, all you're thinking about is how cold that mud is, how dirty you are, how miserable you are. If you take a step back and look at what is the mud about? Why am I doing this? Why is this happening? What's the bigger picture? What opportunity is here for me to learn? And Pamela Vargas just made a comment online as well. Life is about those interruptions. It's about that constantly being pulled back to the ground. And each time is an opportunity for you to remember, for you to grow, for you to say, I am spiritual, and let me take a step out of this mud and see what the bigger picture is here. So some of us have had such tumultuous lives. Everybody's had a difficult life. You wouldn't come here if it was just going to be all roses and candy. Although that sounds
pretty cool. It is though. It's like an opportunity. Every single thing that we walk through is that opportunity to experience what comes up in it for you and process all of whatever it is that's coming up, whatever lessons, whatever feelings, whatever that moment is bringing to you, bringing into your awareness, what it's teaching you, what you're sharing with other people. There's all these dynamic ways that we show up, but that human experience, man, oh man, sometimes it gets sticky.
Right. So what are some tricks that you ladies use to pull yourself out of that mud?
I immediately went to Kat's feet.
I did the same thing.
That's exactly where I went. I went to Kat's feet. And you know what, Kat? I found myself doing that on a walk just the other day. Joe and I were, on a walk back down the lane. We've got this beautiful land out the back of our house where we can just drop into nature at will. And so we're on a walk, and both of us going, man, I got to get out of my head. Man, I got to get out of my head. I got all these tasks and projects that I'm immersed in. And I have been really immersed in my work and creating and lots of exciting stuff, but I'm finding myself not on the walk.
Yeah.
How do I get back here to just being on this walk right now? Just put everything else away. And I thought of your feet. And so I start looking at my feet, and I'll be like, I'll be damned if this isn't working. Now I'm looking at the ground, and I'm looking at the trees, and I'm looking at my husband. I'm like, wow, we are on a walk. Like, this is really cool. And now I'm on the walk instead of in my head. So thank you for your feet.
You're welcome.
Can somebody explain the feet thing to me? I feel like I don't understand. You have beautiful feet, I'm sure, Kat, but that might not be all there is to it.
Yeah, so no, I'm just kidding. So I stare at my feet. I consciously choose when I feel I'm not present, when I feel like I could do a better job of being present, when I want to really experience where I am, I look at my feet to remind me where I am. That's where I start. I look at my feet, and then, like Steph said, I look around and notice how the temperature is, how the light is, how my breathing is. I just kind of tune in, and having that physical reminder to look at my feet, it has just, I don't know, works really well for me. It reminds me at the same time to sort of like ground, to breathe in and down and out, and be present, not in the past, not in the future, not judging, not justifying, not anything that happens here, but just to sink into my body and notice what's around me right in this moment, and everything else goes away. That's the feet. It's just a good, for me, visual reminder.
So that just gave me an aha moment. And Katie, I absolutely want to hear your tips and tricks too. But when you start a past life regression or a between life regression, the very first thing you do traditionally when you're in that new or past life is to look at your feet. That's always been the first step that they have you do. You go back into the life, right? You're in that life. Now look down at your feet. What do you have on your feet? And you like slowly move it up the body. And I've never put those two and two together before, but it's such a grounding force, that physical element of our feet. What are they touching? What do they look like? That's brilliant. And I've never put those two together before.
Well, gee, thanks.
Thank you for that. You're always brilliant. I don't need to tell you that. I just add beautiful feet to my list of cat traits, and we're moving right along. So how about you, Katie? How do you pull yourself out of the mud?
It's interesting. I will say I have thought of Kat too and the feet thing since she said that. I think that's brilliant. There have been times when I'm thinking mud, I'm thinking, because I have been through so much trauma, that there's been a couple times where even when I look down at my feet, I want to run. I want to get the hell out of there. And so it's going into that observer mode, like you, Steph and Chris had mentioned, and just trying to kind of like step back out of my body almost instead of getting in my body and look around at everything like I'm a third person in the situation. And then I don't know, then, depending, it's more dropping into my heart and trying to connect with God and trying to, put as much, spiritual energy into the situation as I possibly can. Sorry, bringing up some trauma. But yeah. I mean, it's all about, here's my thing. You guys hear me say this every show. To me, it's all about awareness. And once you can reach a level of awareness to know that even when you are absolutely not in control of the situation that's happening, you still control your level of awareness. And when you can step back into that 30,000 foot view, or I can't remember the way Steph worded it, but same thing, going into that observer mode, it lets you maneuver through the situation away from an emotional knee-jerk reaction and into more of a neutrality and like kind of you're just dropping into let Jesus take the wheel kind of thing. And that somehow allows me to start taking in with my senses again, but from a neutral place, not from an emotional place. So I guess when I'm stepping back into my body, it's more like now I'm dropping in and I'm just taking in, okay, what am I seeing? Okay, what am I smelling? What am I hearing? And kind of assessing it from that perspective. And then I think I kind of can start handling things from more of a, I guess, neutral keeps coming to my mind, if that makes sense. But yeah, you got to take emotion out of it when you get into situations. I'm sure, Chris, you would agree.
You know what I love about what you just said, Katie? I feel like implied and part of what you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're asking for help. You're which is so important. I don't think any of us do it. I don't think you could do it. Anyone could do it enough. Really, there's no such thing as too much. And to be able to step back and work from your heart space. And you said, let Jesus take the wheel. Ask for help from the other side of the veil, from whoever it is that you want to ask for help from. God, angels, guides, higher self. I mean, whoever, Parker, whoever you want to ask for help from. That's such a huge piece of the puzzle. I feel like that was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And it's help, but it's also allowing space for divine order to come through and to recognize whatever's happening is not your control necessarily. It's divine order, if that makes sense. And again, once you kind of open up that channel, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying, all of a sudden miracles happen, but it allows the situation to unfold. Because when you're trying to control a situation, we can't control every situation. And all that does is make us go into fear, make us go into our mind. And I'm not saying don't try to do whatever you can. I hope it's not coming across that way. But it's more just like there were times where, I was like, okay, this might not go the way that I want it to go, but may divine order, step in. And then, like Kat said, I think that's when you do feel that help and that support, even if it doesn't feel like help in the moment, if that makes sense. If the moment's not going the way you want the moment to go.
I don't always.
So I totally identify with that. And I think what I feel when I'm really stressed or when I'm going through something is my body physically hurts. It feels heavy to sit in my body. So I need to pull myself out. And the idea of asking for help, and Melody said it, or Melinda, sorry, said it on the chat group as well. If I am feeling like my body is physically hurting because I'm manifesting this stress inside of myself, I have to ask for love. And I'm essentially asking the universe, I was like, just help me feel love. Just right now, in this exact moment, let me feel loved. And even saying that now, it's such a warm, perfect feeling. And it helps me feel not alone. Like I'm not going through it all alone. And I think that's one of the things that keeps us trapped for so long is that desperate feeling that we have to do this all ourselves.
Well said, everybody. Jeez.
I would say that for the whole world, and Katie and I were just out in Seattle together. I was out there for a trip, and we were talking about blessing the waters and how if you can infuse water with love, it's essentially doing the same thing. You're calling love into your field. So you think about all the people right now on the earth who feel alone, who feel trapped, who feel that maybe they're not doing what they should be doing, maybe helpless, maybe hopeless. And you are calling love into their sphere. You're just allowing that feeling of love, which really it's a visceral feeling. It makes your cells like open up. You're calling love into their world so they can just feel it. They don't even need to know why they're feeling that tingling, but they're feeling it. So I would highly, everybody who's watching this or watches this later, just call love into your area, into the waters around you, into your homes, for your family, for the strangers on the street. Just ask Spirit to let them all feel loved. And watch what that does for your day. Watch what that does for your stress level. It's like magic.
One thing I just want to add, my Qigong instructor, that's what we do in Qigong. It's all study of energy and energetics. And when you're in an apartment complex, depending on where you are at, because our auras can span, sometimes, they can go out, probably 8-10 feet, maybe even more. So, if somebody's, in their living room on the other side of the wall, right, and you're in your space, you don't even realize it, but your energy's interacting, or maybe with the person below you or above you. So I mean, you don't even realize sometimes, if you just do something to make you happy, to put some self-love back on yourself and compassion, and you're feeling good, even when you're not actually having a conversation with people, you are affecting people. And you could be affecting a lot of people. When you think about a crowded line at Starbucks, like just you being, having a smile on your face and, making eye contact with people. I live in tech world, and it's just amazing now. Everybody's so used to looking down at a screen and not having eye to eye contact. It's like I sometimes play a game when I'm in, coffee shops, like just to throw people off. They're just not even used to somebody actually looking them in the eye and acknowledging them. And was it Maya Angelou? One of my favorite quotes is, at the end of it all, people aren't going to remember what it is you said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And ain't that the truth?
That is my favorite quote in the world. I've actually got it on my computer. I love that.
Wow. I love it.
Love her.
Yeah.
And I do that exact thing at the airport. So whenever I'm walking through the airport, it's possibly one of the most stressful situations in the world, the places in the world, is the airport. I'll walk out and I'm envisioning my chi bubble just expanding out, and all I'm doing is like radiating love. Like, I'm just going to walk by you. You don't even know why, but I'm walking by you. I'm happy. and you're going to be a little bit happier because I walked by you. You don't know why. It doesn't matter.
I did that when COVID first happened. Even with the mask on, it's funny, not funny, when things really started to kind of get locked down, and you were at the grocery store and you had to have the mask on, and, people were really hesitant about being, too close and just looking at you funny. And I had so many friends that were like, gosh, I can't even go to the grocery store. It's just terrible. Like, people are freaking me out, they're looking at me weird, and then I get all freaking out, and then I'm looking at people weird. And I go, it's funny, I haven't had that experience yet. I have, but I said, when people look at me weird, I just kind of smile and go, hi, how are you? Because yeah, the world's going to shit, crazy things are happening, but that's okay. We can still, go down the grocery store aisle and like say hello. And I was surprised, you could tell, some people were like, oh, and then I'd see them get their cart, and they'd have a little kick in their step. So it makes a difference.
Yes. Especially with the mask, because they can't see your mouth anymore.
Everybody can see my mouth.
Everyone can see my
I don't wear them.
Oh,
Well,
I don't wear one.
That's a whole different
Washington.
story, though. That's a different show for a different day.
There are also, if you want to wear one and or you feel you must wear one and or you must wear one, there are, hold on, I'm going to grab it. Hold on.
Are they like see-through ones? Because that would be brilliant.
You missed it, Chris.
I've seen
Linda had taken, what was that? It was some kind of stuffed animal apparatus, and she made like a face.
It was actually a hat. Like, it was a full-blown thing, and she tied it around. And then I did a thing with my hair. Yeah, I'm sure you saw it.
All right, what you got?
These are brilliant, in my opinion.
What do you have?
I'll show you.
It looks like is it like a face shield?
Yeah, but it's little.
Oh, have mercy.
Oh,
That's fancy. Let me see. How does
Then hooks to your ears, and everyone can see you smile.
nice.
You look like you're wearing night gear. Like
I know.
headgear for
And you can breathe is the thing, because I would like to go to the gym. It's too hot where I live to do stuff outside most of the time, all the time in the summertime. And they've got that you have to wear a mask at the gym rule, and I literally can't breathe.
Yeah.
Nobody
And
can.
this has so much space from the side that you can.
Very nice.
That's pretty cool.
Although if you sneeze, I bet it gets like all people can see if you haven't cleaned it.
Walking around.
Yeah, that would be a little
sweats on
gross.
your shield.
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet, but
Oh, it will.
I'm hoping that no form of that will be being used very soon. We'll see.
Yep. And until then, we have to just make an extra effort, right? If they can't see you smile, say hello. Just say hi to a freaking stranger on the street. It's amazing what that does.
Well, you can see in someone's eyes whether they're smiling if you do it really hard.
Yeah. I've noticed, and maybe this is an East Coast thing, but people are making less eye contact than normal. And we don't make a whole lot of eye contact to begin with. It's like the masks have now closed it off even more.
I'm sure that was the intention.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo, ding ding. Is she below me? Can you guys, does this work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ding ding
I
ding.
think you gotta go like this on
Oh,
my
see,
screen.
you're below me on my screen. So
Oh, okay.
I'll just
Cover all of your cardinal directions. She's here.
Or no, do it like this. That's my favorite.
But we have to be aware that this has a bigger purpose too, that this whole wearing masks, corona shenanigans at that 10,000 foot level has a purpose.
Yeah.
And to actively combat that feeling of being alone, that feeling of being isolated and
Separate. Yep.
separate. Absolutely.
Separating people.
Yeah, I mean, so many things are an attack on oneness.
It's true.
Truly. When you take that 30,000 foot view. You said 10, Katie said 30. Well, I'll split the difference and give you 20.
There you go. High up. It's there.
It's a high up view. It's a higher echelon view for sure.
Yes.
So what do you do besides go out of your way to make people engage, to invite them at a minimum? We can't make anybody engage, but we can invite, we can send our energy out, we can infuse that love and peace and joy into everyone's field as we cross paths with them. What else?
I think it's a combination of what everybody's been saying. If you were to give yourself a challenge, and every day this week when you go outside, envision that bubble, and it's just whatever color you want to radiate, you radiate just a golden bubble of love. And as you're walking by people, you can physically say hi or just envision that bubble touching theirs. And it's amazing how uplifting it'll be for you. And you could never know the 10, order effects of doing something like that. It becomes an addictive feeling, that feeling of being connected.
Yeah, you don't know who passed on the love that you gave them and where it went and how many people they passed it on to and how big that ripple got. And imagine if we all did that every day.
Yeah. I would challenge the viewers to do this for a solid week and post your stories on the Muses website. What experiences did you have while you were doing this? While you were just actively, intentionally being loving when you went out, even if it's not verbal. Your energy is loving, and send that out to people for a solid week and see how you feel different and see if anybody else around you starts to feel different.
Yeah. And if you've already been doing it, let us know what you've been experiencing.
Yeah.
And can I just add, if there's people out there that are like, I don't even know where to start,
Right here. You start right here.
But a good place to always reset and to feel the love and the oneness yourself is to go to nature. And I know not everybody's got, like a state park 5 minutes from their house, but I mean, there's a park, there's a quiet place where there's a couple trees. Do you know what I mean? I mean, just really, because that's where you really, when I talk about being aware and observing, that's when I'm aware of oneness in all of its beauty and all of its perfection, is when you go to nature, right? And so when you can witness that, and even just being around that, you don't have to be all zen out there. I mean, it's osmosis, you're taking it in. That was one of the things I remember from science class in elementary school. I thought that was so cool, that it's like God made the planet so that we breathe out what the trees need to breathe in, and then they breathe out what you know what I mean? It's like the perfect, most natural place to kind of start. And then when you can get that sense, like Steph said, first you start inside. Once you get it inside, then you become aware of what that looks like and feels like outside energetically. And then you take that out, right? And that's free. It's free wherever you're at.
And take that to the next level. One of the things I always loved was color therapy. They talk about wear whatever color you want to project something. If you take that to the world, to Mother Nature, she created the perfect tapestry of color therapy. The sky being blue is calming, it's uplifting. The trees are green, that's the color of heart and of love. It's the perfect tapestry to get balanced out whatever it is that you need. Even if you can only look up at the sky, even if it's cloudy, there is color therapy in just being outside and looking around and actually looking around, right? You're not just walking through it, you're experiencing it.
I had this crazy meditative experience one time, and I was doing a meditation, and I was like having a conversation with my spirit guides or whatever, and they were saying, what do you know what your true soul's essence is? And I'm like, no, and so they were like, what are the two colors of the sea and the sky? And I never thought about it, but they both have kind of the same color scheme. And I was like, well, I guess blue and white. And then they showed me that blue is like the eternal peace, the peace that surpasses all understanding that, that you read about in the Bible. And then the white is the purity, the pure essence of, your soul and all of its glory. And so that always stuck with me is the nature. And as you can see,
I was just gonna say, like, your whole set is blue and white.
enough blue and white because of that. So yeah, even if you're not in nature, that's a very valid point. Like, look at me. Did I not just come, total, just trying to bring peace to, the day and the situation. So I love that, Chris. That's awesome.
I'm wearing the same colors.
Yeah,
Oh.
me too.
Blue and white.
You got blue and white
We're
too.
all wearing blue and white today.
Check us out. See, a lot of it's so subconscious. That's what I love about energy work. It's like when I read one time that 93% of our communication is nonverbal. 93%. That tells
doesn't just
you
mean body language.
what?
I said, and that doesn't just mean body language.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it just tells you the significance of what we aren't aware of that's happening subconsciously in any given interaction, that plays into our choices, that plays into, the people we meet and the places, we're at the right places at the right time to meet the right people. Like, it all plays together overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steph said it, another way to just immediately lift your energy level is to watch something like this. Watch something on YouTube that resonates with you. Have a conversation with a friend about spirit. It instantly changes your energy. Instantly.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many ways to just remind yourself that you're not solely that three-dimensional creature.
Yeah, you could
Whatever works for you. And you can do all this stuff while you're busy.
Yep.
I had one guru talk about using the hands. The hands are very powerful for the mudras. And I go to a lot of meetings and they're stressful and people get anxious and there's actually yelling at some of them. I've only seen like physical fights at one or two, which those are actually really entertaining for me. But he told me when I'm sitting around a table, a conference table, and everybody's stressed out and the energy is getting bad, to do something with my hand, something conscious. And what I chose was lifting my pinky. And I'm sitting at the table and I'm just going to hold my hand up so you can see it, but I will lift my pinky. And what I'm doing with this is I'm saying positive energy is coming out of me and that this meeting is not going to be as contentious. And I'm physically separating myself from that negative energy and infusing my positive. That intention, the fact that I have the intention to set positive energy, will overpower the negative, which is completely subconsciously created. But it's as simple as something like that. Every time I'm feeling stressed in a meeting and I start to get, I can feel it. I'm hunching in, my body starts to hurt. I'm just going to raise my pinky. It centers me. It reminds me that I'm spiritual, that I do have control over the situation. And it's just something so simple like that will help pull me out of my head.
And that's fascinating that you choose the pinky, because in Chinese medicine, that is the heart meridian. So of course, when you purposely lift that up, that is going to start dropping that energy into the space. That's beautiful that you just naturally knew that.
Ever. No accidents.
I did not know that. I always just remember it from drinking tea. You put your pinky.
Yes. Yeah. In the South, if you were, raised with manners.
Yeah. That makes
anybody ask you like, hey, why's your pinky up?
Yeah, are you doing it under the table or are you like
often under the table, but sometimes I'll sit there like this and I've got one pinky up. And nobody's ever
both when it
oh, just like and I like pointed at them. No, it's nothing that it's not quite that dramatic. It depends on the environment, because they're military dudes. They're not going to appreciate me feng shuiing the meeting. So I probably do it under the table.
One trick for you too, we're talking about mudras. If you are in a situation, this is something you can do under the table, and you're trying to kind of set personal boundary space, right? If like you're in a meeting exactly how you described, how like your thumb in between your index and your middle finger, kind of like when your grandpa used to do, I got your nose. That's a natural, protecting my space. It'll instantly,
Oh.
and if you do that, and you're in like a one-on-one with somebody and they don't even know you're doing it, it's interesting. It'll kind of bring the situation down to a calm. They'll see that they're not, getting a reaction out of you. Yeah, I love mudras. You can just play with those things. They're so fun.
This is how I often prove to people that energy is real too, is the palms. I'll take their palm and mine and I'll just focus my attention on the palm so that the energy heats up. And as soon as they feel it, it's like proving to them that energy is real. Just that simple. Do you feel that tingling in the center of your palm when you think about it? It's something so simple, but there's so much power in here that I definitely haven't learned to use. Except for that one. I got that one down.
It's clearly working for you. That's your thing.
I got you all.
I think, here's the other thing I want to say. When we talk about what we've learned to use, and what we're, what somebody else has told us, this does this or this does that, or the other thing, and that's all valuable stuff. It's awesome. I believe that we all do actually know how to use all of this. And when we tune in and slow down, that's, you're using your pinky and this person's doing that and this person's doing that. And then somebody says, well, did you know? And they're like, gosh, I did not know that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You may not have consciously known that, but that's why you started doing it. And all of those things are available to all of us. Doesn't matter what we call them. It doesn't matter whether, somebody taught us this way or that way or the other way, or we have a certificate or whatever the case may be. It's all accessible for all of us. And I believe also that it's extremely valuable to slow down and tune in and remember what you're supposed to remember, your particular flavor, the thing that's going to help you the most that maybe nobody else yet knows or remembers here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sometimes the learning is almost a limitation if you're learning from a book or from another person, because you're not listening to this. And this is going to give you the right answers every single time, even if you don't know why it's the right thing. And that's a huge leap in the spiritual process, is to stop listening to everybody else's truths and start listening to your own.
Listening to your own. And it is okay, I feel like, to listen to other people and to learn some things and to do some things. It's helpful, right? Mm-hmm. Just don't stop there. Right. And realize that, and the learning should, in my opinion, the teaching should also be, it would be beneficial and amazing if it's done in such a way that it allows that other person to flower into whatever they're bringing onto this plane, rather than just, here's what I do.
Yeah.
Well, and I think when Chris originally was talking about, sometimes we have things that pull us away from like our practice and our rituals and our routines, for a week or days at a time, and we can feel guilt over it. You have to allow time to assimilate. And so it's interesting, like for instance, with, the human design certification program I'm in, they operate it like a regular university, where you take, you have your semesters and then you have, your break, and people would get excited and, kind of say, hey, why can't you guys just offer this, nonstop? I just want to, just keep going. But you realize when they force you to stop and you take a month off, and you allow that to assimilate, even if you don't think that it is, and you're applying it and you're really grounding it in. And then when you step forward with purpose and intention, instead of that, just trying to grab whatever you can, that's out there that plays into that guilt of, well, I took a day off. Oh gosh, I missed something. It's interesting how that all works so beautifully.
Yeah.
You think you're taking a step forward, but you're really, not. You're actually taking 2 steps ahead. If that makes sense.
It's that Wheel of Fortune, and that's the Wheel of Fortune tarot card is the, where it is in the tarot for a reason. Life is cyclical. Even if you feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, or you're taking steps back, or I should be sprinting forward when I just feel very unmotivated and very stagnant. That's all part of the wheel. Sometimes you're going to feel super motivated and take giant leaps forward. You're going to reach that pinnacle and it's going to start coming back down. All of that is completely normal. Even feeling the guilt over it is completely normal. When you feel like I just do not feel motivated to meditate today, or I sat down to meditate and I started thinking about all the 1,000 things I'm supposed to be doing. That's all part of it.
Yeah.
So Steph, do you have any more tips on how you incorporate the world's crazy into spiritual peace?
It just always comes back to here.
Yeah.
It really does. I mean, I have created for myself in the moment, you know, if I'm not immune to breakdowns or you know what I mean, emotional stress or getting distracted by fear, any of those things. I've created breathwork protocols for myself just in the moment. Just, you know, sat down in my front yard after a really stressful, crappy 3D day and just started to breathe and found myself in the moment, just connecting to spirit in this brand new way and breathing in this brand new rhythm that I didn't identified, it resonated with me, but I couldn't attach it to any kind of story. Where did I learn it or how did I pick it up? And it was just spirit bringing in exactly the breath that I needed in that moment to allow me the connection and the clarity and the messages that came through for me in that moment that were so deeply related to everything in my day and the path that I was on at that moment. This just happened a couple of months ago, so it's kind of fresh in my field still. But for me, just staying connected in that way, and I think everybody has said it, allowing yourself to ask, keeping that channel of communication open and asking for help, because we don't have all the answers. The human doesn't have all the answers. The soul, the essence of spirit, and when we reconnect back into that grand light, that source energy, and allow to flow whatever it is that we need in that moment, we're going to get exactly what the recipe calls for. We're going to get it. We're going to be taken to that place in that moment. And whether it goes how you thought it should go, or it felt weird after, and you're looking back on it going, what did I, you know, you can question it later. You can do all those things because that's just the nature of the experience that we're having. But for me, it really is just staying in that place where, you know, you can always drop in, you can always be connected, and to ask for it.
Beautifully said. And Kat said it as well. We don't ask for help enough. We feel like we're bothering spirits or angels or Jesus, whomever it is that you ask for help from. I promise you're not bothering anybody. That is a very linear, very human thought that, well, if they're coming to me, then they can't do what they're supposed to be doing. Ask for help in every aspect of your life, because the truth is you're never alone. It doesn't matter what it feels like or what emotion you're feeling, what physical feeling you have, you're never alone, not in any single moment. So why should you do it alone? Why do you have to carry that burden all by yourself?
Yeah. Well, and it actually adds to the oneness of all that is. I'm such a big believer in the power of prayer. If you're not religious, just the power of focused thought, intention, whatever you want to call it, because there is, you know, an energetic quality to our brains and our hearts. I mean, it's proven there's an electromagnetic, you know, field that exists. And so I can't tell you how many times, you know, just in the last 6 months, I probably mentioned before, there are plenty of days where I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of bed. You know, I'm just just overwhelmed with everything. And I literally will pull in the power of prayer, because there's so many people that are like, Katie, I'm just keeping you in my prayers. I'm just sending you, you know, I've been thinking about you. I'm sending you love, whatever it is. And I am not kidding. If that allows me to get up and get out of bed and put my feet on the ground and, you know, one foot in front of the other. And so absolutely that stuff works. And whether you're doing it straight up to God or you're just doing it for somebody else, please do it, because you might not think it's making a difference, but I am here to tell you it absolutely does.
Big ways. I actually just had something come in, something that you said, Katie, triggered it, and it triggered my memory of the conversation that you and I had earlier this week, and the wisdom that Callie, my daughter, brought in for me, unknowingly. I haven't even shared this with her yet. She could be listening for all I know. But I was in a place, and this is a little trick. It's a big trick. It's amazing. But I was in a place of fear and uncertainty and in the ick of it, right? Like allowed myself to get into that lower vibration where I was really worried about some things that are stirring in my life right now. And I was immediately taken to her, my daughter, Callie, and this practice that she does that she had shared with me. She says, Mom, when I'm wanting to turn things around and I'm wanting to elevate my vibration and just change the things that are showing up in my awareness and my reality. She's 17. She says, I take myself to a place of gratitude. I find something, anything around me to be thankful for. It doesn't matter what it is. You take yourself to a place of gratitude and then you say, universe, thank you, universe. Can it get any better than this? Say God, say whatever, use whatever word you want to use. Can it get any better than this? And so you're in a place of gratitude asking, can it get any better than this? You're thankful for what you already have and inquiring for just how good it can be. And it can't help but get better. I had that thought, that tool came into my awareness during this just pity party I was having, and feeling like, oh, I'm so out of control. Everything is hopeless. What am I going to do? Just in the ick of it. And that thought, her tool, all of it just came in. And I said, okay, all right, I got you, universe. So I'm sitting right here in this chair. I was sitting in my office in front of my computer, just finished a long day of work. And I had this arrangement next to me that after I had this moment, this revelation, right? And I'm sitting there in my chair thinking, I am grateful. I'm grateful for my kid and this wisdom that she just brought through for me. And in an instant, everything can turn right side up. It feels so upside down right now, but I know it can turn right side up. Thank you, universe. And I just had that thought. I didn't do it quite the way she did, but that's where I was at. I was feeling like everything was upside down. I get up, I fumble in the dark to put my computer stand away. The arrangement next to me goes onto the floor. I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to grab it, but I can't even see anything. I take a couple of steps and I flip the light switch and I turn around and I look and I see this bouquet on the floor next to my chair. And I see the vase that they were in. And it's sitting right side up. Half full of water still. Right side up on the floor. And I'm just going, all right, gotcha.
That is
message received. And just that quickly, my entire awareness of my ability to call positivity into my reality. Boom, just like that.
Beautiful.
Change. Thank you, universe. Can it get any better than this? Can it get any better than this? And it always will.
Yeah.
It always will. We call it in. Thank you guys so much. I feel like I've just I just hijacked the end of the show. They're like going, no, it's not hijacked. Take it. I hope that everyone enjoyed that testimony. And man, I'm grateful. I'm in a place of gratitude right now for my kid, for the universe, for this show, for all of you goddesses, for everyone who is tuning in while we share insights and share our energy with you, and you share our energy with us. It's just such a beautiful exchange. So thank you to all of you for being on with us today. You can catch the show every Monday at 11 Eastern. No, I never get this right.
Start on the other side.
You guys, I'm going to get fired. At What time is it? It's 1
11
Central, dang it. That's all I know.
2
11
Eastern.
Pacific. Yeah, 2 Eastern.
11.
2
Pacific.
Eastern, 11 Pacific. I'm going to put a sticky note next to my camera. Love you guys. We'll see you next time.